Why, hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Aussie Roll Call podcast. I am one of your hosts, Stevie, and in this episode, Kate and I interview the stellar Chris Mayer. Chris is the founder of GlowCraft, a company that creates tabletop accessories such as the incredibly impressive Dice Compendium and Dice Compendium 2. Chris is also one half of The Quest Suppliers, a company that specialises in dice, Aussie-made TTRPGs, board games, and more. On top of that, he's also behind Dungeons and Castles, a premium experience that runs out of Kryal Castle in Victoria, Australia, and which has recently expanded to Castle Hill in New South Wales. We find out how Chris does it all, what his passions are, and so much more. Without further ado, let's get into the interview with Chris now.
Well, and we're back for more fun chat interview times on the Aussie Roll Call podcast. I got the wonderful joy to chat to today's guest at PAX Australia last year for like all of 5 minutes. Yes. But we decided they were so very interesting that we needed to bring Chris from, amongst other things, GlowCraft on to talk to all of you lovely people. So, Chris, tell us about yourself. What are the core things that you get up to?
Yes. Hello. Thank you for having me. I super appreciate getting the chance to have a longer conversation than the chaos that is PAX. Yeah. So I wear a few hats, I guess. I work with Terry, who runs Adventure From The Alchemist, and we work together to run the Quest Suppliers, and that's where you saw us at PAX. That's one of the main vehicles we have, and we use that to help us promote Aussie board games, Aussie tabletops, and also the creative things that we do as well, which is pretty cool. My personal project is GlowCraft, and that's probably where most of my passion lies. So, with GlowCraft, I do laser cutting for tabletop accessories. I do like dice displays, dice rollers, dice jails. I can see you holding up your folding dice tower, and that's some cool stuff. Yeah, so we have a whole bunch of really cool things there, and the best thing is I'm designing it myself, I'm making it myself. It's all in house, and it's just a really fun creative outlet. And it's been quite humbling that we've got to the point that we can actually be at PAX and show people our things now, which is honestly I'm still kind of coming to terms with the fact that we get to do that. So it's pretty cool. How
did you get into laser cutting and designing all of these cool tabletop accessories? Like, what led to this little venture?
Short answer is ADHD. Long answer has a bit more context. I've always been trying to find the creative outlet that works for me. And I studied computer science. I thought I was going to be a game programmer. And that's what I thought I was going to do. And so I put a lot of effort into that, went to university, did all those things, and I realized very quickly that it was very not social, and also it was very not physical, which I didn't realize at the time that I needed, which is quite interesting. So, I've tried to do so many things. You're only seeing the success now, but there was many failures behind it. I tried to see if I could make music, couldn't do that. See if I could make my own video games, couldn't do that. Honestly, what ended up happening was I saw on Facebook Marketplace someone had put up some very dangerous laser cutter that was very, very cheap. And I was like, you know what? That's really calling to me. I asked my partner, who we'd only actually just started dating, I'm like, hey, are you up for a 1.5 hour drive to go pick up this thing that I don't even know is going to work? And she said yes. So we went and got that. And we went to, very, very small markets. And I'd only had 2 designs at that point. They seemed to be well received. It gave me a bit of a spark. And I just kind of kept going from there. And the cool thing about any maker's journey, I think, is the people around you that like what you're doing come to you with suggestions for what they'd love to see. And so, so many of the things that I've done have actually been sparked by someone saying, hey, I actually don't have a solution to problem X. Why don't you look into it? And some of the solutions are just solutions that I wanted to fix for myself. And that's kind of how it all started, I guess.
So now I want to know all about your favorite things, but that's just...
And of course, selfishly, I wanted to make things for myself. Let's be honest. So it was very much, I'll meet my own needs and demands, and then if people like those things as well, that's also pretty cool. 100%. That's a big part of it, of course.
So we've sort of talked about like how you've gotten to this point of making cool stuff. Do you have favorite things you've made? I know that's like asking someone to choose, a maker to choose between their children, but do you have favorite things or things that you think are the coolest things you've made?
Yeah, you're right. That is a hard question, but I have to say, probably the most fun I have is building these ridiculous dice towers that I bring to all the events that I do. And so every time I make one, my brother tells me that it needs to be bigger or have more complexity, and I go, okay, and then we just do it again. So, at PAX, my goal was to have a dice tower that when it was on a table, it was taller than me, and I'm 6'1", and so I was able to get a dice tower that was 1.3 meters tall, but on a table was just under 2 meters tall, which is pretty cool. So like those, I have a lot of enjoyment out of building those because there's just so many things that can go wrong. And through the design process, because everything I design is in 3D, and then it has to work on a flat plane essentially. Like a laser cutter can only cut straight through; it can't do angles in the wood, so you can't have like bevels and things like that, which I actually like because the constraint actually adds a lot to the craft, I think. But so many times I'll think that I've absolutely nailed a design, and when I go to put it together, I'm like, yeah, these two things actually don't go past each other, and that's actually not going to work. But that's really fun. And then you go back to the drawing board and you try again. And I think those big ones, the tower I did previously for PAX, we actually had electronics in it as well. I worked with Arduinos. We had the dice going down one side, and then it would actually climb back up the middle, and then it would roll back down, these different parts. And that's a lot of fun for me to have, those silly things. And of course, they're not really for sale. I can do them on commission. I'm not making any money off those, but they're just a lot of fun to do, right? You have to make sure that you capture the joy in the things you're doing. And those silly things. Really, it's just trying to make my brother respect me, and I'll get there one day.
But they also bring people over to the stall, right?
Yeah.
Like, you've got these big, interesting contraptions that are interactive that have to do with dice, and we know that basically almost everyone who plays TTRPGs loves dice. So,
it's absolutely, and of course that's, I guess, partially what we're trying to do. We want people to come and say hi, but it is fun when a kid will come over and they've only just started playing D&D and they get to roll on this ridiculous dice tower. The one I did previously to the one you would have seen at PAX took about 50 seconds to roll one dice, so probably not the most effective dice roll. I wouldn't use it for a persuasion check, but it was very fun to watch, and it would keep people engaged for a long time. I never get to actually watch it though, because I'm always standing behind the stall, so I'm always like, hey, what are you guys doing over there? Are you getting any good rolls? It's fun.
I certainly had a lot of fun looking at all the different things that you built at PAX, and we talked for a while after your Fast Five about the things you build. Do you have things that you are working on? Cool works in progress? Are you making the dice storage of my dreams?
I certainly am. So yes, when we spoke at PAX, I was just about to kick off my Kickstarter for my very first Kickstarter, which was all sorts of nerve-wracking. There's just so much that goes into those things, and I have a lot of respect for people that have done so many of those. Like, it was crazy. But so we my main product, my flagship product, if you will, the thing that, if we're talking about things that I actually sell that I'm most proud of, like by far, is the Dice Compendium 2, for sure. I was really humbled when I released my initial design of the Dice Compendium 1 about 5.5 years ago, and it just went viral, and people really loved it, and it was completely unique, which I'm really proud. There's just so many things these days that just aren't that, right? That aren't a new concept, and so I was really kind of blown away to the point where I've always had this philosophy of, if someone says, can you do this? I just say yes. And then I work out how to actually do the thing I just said yes to right afterwards. And so, if people are like, hey, so are you selling this? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. And then, my partner and I were up to, I think, 4 a.m. the night after, trying to get orders ready. I hadn't yet actually designed out all of the like sheets and things that you would have, so I was individually cutting probably 300 pieces and then making sure I cut them all and put them into bags. It was just ridiculous. But I very quickly caught up with myself after that. And so, yeah, it kind of started from there. But, the Dice Compendium is this really cool thing. To quickly describe what it is after gushing about my own thing.
Please gush. I have seen it, gush away.
Yeah, well, basically, the concept is you have a gallery of all of your D20s. And behind that is the rest of the set. So imagine 25 individual pods. You've got a fixed position as well that can help you to actually make sure the D20 is facing with the 20 outward. And so that's the basic concept. These are acrylic pods. They're portable as well. So if you go, okay, I've got 25 sets of dice and I'm about to head to a game, maybe I'm playing with an Asimar Paladin. I want something that's metal. I want something that's white. Justice. I can actually just grab that pod out. And I also make a companion product, which is a dice tray, which can receive that pod as well. So you can put it in there and lock it in. And then you can just take it with you. So that was the original concept. From the get-go, what I wanted to do with it was turn it into like a smart device and bring in RGB lighting, bring in all these amazing things. And, I finally was able to get the opportunity to do that. My cousin, who is working with me on this project, has dabbled in robotics. We basically challenged ourselves to see whether we could do this together. And needless to say, the Kickstarter went quite well. I think we ended up just under 600% to target, which was just ridiculous. And now we're in the process of doing final designs, and it's looking really good. We've added a few extra things that I don't want to speak about just yet because I haven't quite yet revealed them to the Kickstarter backers. I'm planning to do that this weekend, but there's a few little extra things. We wanted to over deliver. We're probably going to deliver the product a little bit later, but that's because we want to get it right. We are talking a fully bespoke smartphone app where you can log all of your dice with all of their descriptions. You can assign them to the characters that you're playing with them. You can assign the last date that you used them. You can put the cost, how much you spent on them, barcodes, makers, all that sort of stuff, right? Which is really, really cool. You can export that out as well, so you're not forced to use our app. You can keep that in an Excel file and just have that if you want to, which I think is really important to make sure that we're not sort of locking people into our ecosystem too much. Of course, ecosystem for business is good, but we want to make sure people have freedom as well, because that's what I would want. But then, of course, you can use it to control the compendium as well. So you can actually say, okay, I have this color set of dice. It'll automatically generate the complementary color and light up that pod for you, for example. You can actually do, because we hit the stretch target, we're going to have animations where you can say, I take a set of dice out and it is a ice set of dice, and I've assigned that to be an ice set. And when I pull it out, it actually starts to snow on the compendium, sort of thing. These sorts of really fun things. I know, it's cool. Okay,
this sounds completely insane.
It's very cool.
I got to know some of this at PAX, and I was sitting there like, I do want this. I do not have the finances to do this. And now you're making it worse, Chris. You're making it worse. I know. You're making my little dice goblin in my soul very happy, but also very sad at the same time.
Imagine how neat and organized and well catalogued everything would
be. And how happy other people in my life would be that they are neat and tightly organized.
Right?
I'm here at Conquest, and I'm here with Shani from Maluriday Dice. How has your con been so far?
It's been really good. We're having a great time here. I've been non-stop talking with people about games and dice. I'm starting to lose my voice a bit from it, but yeah, just those conversations is the highlight. Yeah,
that is generally the the highlight of any convention. Now, I have Fast Five for you, Shani. What is your favorite tabletop snack to have?
Almonds. Yep, they're good.
Yep, almonds are a solid choice.
Yeah.
Now, you are a dice maker, so this question I feel like is going to have some depth. Now, what is your favorite dice? It can either be dice size or dice set.
My favorite dice size is the D8. It's the Bard hit die. I'm all about that. I'm a Bard fan. My favorite dice set, even though I make dice and I've got so many to choose from, it's the Chessex Borealis Teal Original Glitter. It was my first set.
Wow.
And it's got a special place in my heart.
The Borealis sets are beautiful.
They're gorgeous.
Yeah, they're so gorgeous. Now, let's just say you've got your snacks and your dice, and you've got a brand new player to TTRPGs. What game are you introducing them to?
D&D is a very easy one to get people into because it's such a generic fantasy setting. That's usually the go-to. But I do like doing the D&D Young Adventurers rule set where it's just like loose and very freeform and less about dice rolls and more about storytelling.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Now, you've got your almonds, you've got your dice, and you've got, your Young Adventurers rules to introduce new players to. What else do you need to have on the table to make a fantastic tabletop experience?
A laptop next to me so that I can Google rules really quickly anytime something comes up.
I love that. Now, finally, last question. Let's just say in real life you could have any kind of companion, like a minion, a robot, a familiar, that sort of thing. What would you have?
A Tressum, but specifically just my cat that I have at home, but with wings.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Shani, and
you.
we hope you enjoy the rest of Conquest.
Thanks.
Well, that was the thing for me, right? Like, I knew so many people, and I have to be very honest. I wasn't a massive dice collector myself when I designed this. I of course had some sets, and of course I was playing D&D. But I was forced, of course, under sufferance, to buy a whole bunch of dice sets for product research purposes, of course. And I think I've now got like 85 sets of dice. But it's very fun doing photo shoots, of course. It's very, very, very important.
Because everyone needs more dice. This is just the correct answer to the question.
100%. I think you need the amount of dice you've got plus one more set.
Yeah, there are people on the internet who will tell you do not need more dice. I am here to counter that argument.
Yes. As a vendor of dice, I wholeheartedly agree.
We did interview one person who said she only had one set of dice, which
is wild for someone in the TTRPG space.
I hope that set of dice is special to them, though, because that could be the thing, right? I have to say that, unfortunately, I've lost my very first set of dice. I had like a Chessex set of dice from years and years ago when I played a 3.5 edition, and I don't know where that's gone. That's completely disappeared. So I was again forced to buy more dice. So I was just trying to get back that feeling.
Outside of building cool things that make me very much want more things for my shelf, I understand that you work on other projects outside of GlowCraft, outside of Quest Suppliers. Do you want to tell us a bit more about those?
Yes, yeah. So actually, a bit of a shout out to Chris Clark, who is or was the original admin of the Dungeons and Dragons Australia Facebook group. And they do some really cool stuff. DDA, they do some amazing stuff. They're present at a lot of these events that we're at as well. Really cool organization and really welcoming of new players, which is really cool. And Chris and I were talking, and we had this dream of what if you could play Dungeons and Castles, or Dungeons and Dragons, I should say, in a castle, and that castle being Kryal Castle, which is a real castle located in Ballarat in Victoria. And I eventually just thought, you know what? Let's just actually do the thing. Like, why not, right? And so I approached them, and we were able to make it happen. And so now I run 2 events a year at the moment. The event's called Dungeons and Castles, and you can essentially attend a 3-day event where you have the option, if you choose to stay at the castle and basically experience a 3-day one-shot with a completely crafted by our team story that actually occurs in the castle that you're in, and all the locations that you visit are locations you can actually physically visit within the castle. And it's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool event. It's a very premium event, I will say. Banquet dinners every night. There's one-shots during the day. We usually have like painting available, those sorts of things as well. Like, it's really, really up there. It's not cheap per ticket, as it shouldn't be. There's a lot of effort that goes into it. When you're playing, you're actually in a separate section of the castle with a dedicated dungeon master the whole time. So, there's not going to be audio overlap, things like that. You're kind of going off to your own private room. There is a round table that you can play on. We usually bring the big dice tower, and there's a roll-off to see who gets to play in that room each night, which is quite fun. But it's really cool. Like, it was just a bit of a passion project, and everything we were doing was TTP RPG, and we were getting really excited with this. And I thought, what if I could add to the community and write some stories. And it was really fun. Like we introduced like day and night mechanics and just like a few extra things to sort of make it really work. A one-shot is pretty easy. A 3-day one-shot where the story has to be self-contained is a lot harder, and it was a really fun challenge to put this whole thing together. So, very much looking forward to it. Our next one's actually in like only a few weeks' time. So, as soon as I get off this amazing chat we're having, I'm going to be going straight back into making sure that everything actually works and makes sense for the event that's coming up, which is pretty cool.
Awesome. And how many of those have you run so far?
So this will be our fourth in April, and it's our third chapter. I'm doing air quotes. One thing that's really cool that we decided to do really early is we wanted to make sure that the players that come to the event actually have a hand in the story. And so what I mean by that is we have pre-generated characters just to make sure that everyone gets an equal chance to represent themselves and play the game properly. You don't want someone coming with a broken build and ruining other people's experiences, which could easily happen. People get excited. But by having that, means we have named characters that have backstories that are canon to the world. And so what we can actually do is we actually take a poll of our dungeon masters at the end of all of the endings that each of the player characters has from each of the groups. And they will actually become canonical sort of epilogues that could actually affect future chapters in the stories as well, which is really fun. So, I won't reveal too much, but basically, like there's some characters that were present in chapter 1 that might be present in the future, or at least you'll see the ripples of effects that they've done and things that they've done on the castle, which I think is like, it's a lot of fun for us to sort of, get to game these out. And I think it's really fun for the attendees because they kind of know that, once they leave, they're actually still making their mark on the story as well. So it's kind of, pretty awesome.
That's definitely something that's hard to achieve in like a contained one-shot environment. So the fact that you've got sort of like a mechanic and an ongoing story to capture some of that, I think is a really great way to make that experience even more premium and lasting.
Yeah, I tend to agree. And, we wanted to make sure that, you don't come to this and then you go away and then that was it. So I think that is really important.
And do you get all dressed up and do the full LARP for the weekend, or is that not your vibe?
I do, but I have to say my dungeon masters are so much better at it than I am. I don't like the look of myself most of the time, so I don't put probably as much effort into it as the others do. And I will say I've got some back issues as well, so I can't have too much stuff on me. So I usually I'll try and do the best that I can while still being agile and light on my feet so that I can move around. The hard part for me is that I'll have a massive hand in writing the story, but I'm not a dungeon master. I'm more of like a dungeon master administrator, and so I don't actually get to run the games myself. But it also means I don't get to participate in the games as a player. So basically, I create this thing, and then I have to just kind of watch it happen around me. And so my favorite part of the events is actually the Dungeon Master's debrief that we do at the end of each night, where everyone gets to tell me all the crazy stuff everyone does. And like that's the thing I'm looking forward to the entire night, is just like, oh my God, how did they try and break this? What did they do? Oh my God, we didn't think of that. It's amazing, right? It's always so much fun.
There's no way you can accommodate for every possible decision players are going to make. So
impossible. We do have a section on our planner. We do have a section called Players at F-Heads. And in that section, that's where we have a whole bunch of contingency plans for if things go off the rails. I have to say, people do respect the event quite a lot, so that doesn't really happen too much. But, sometimes people push boundaries and try and have a bit of fun. And I think if it's all in good faith and good fun, then, absolutely, why not?
Amazing.
But not to take it away from talking about this, because, again, things I want to do but do not have the budget for. Future plans. Obviously, more rounds of Dungeons and Castles, by the sounds of things. Yes. Future cool Dice Compendium soon to be coming. Any other fun shenanigans on the horizon?
Well, I have to mention, because if anyone that I know listens to this podcast and I don't mention this, they'll be upset with me. But they'll also roll their eyes if I do mention it. So I thought, let me win and lose simultaneously. Basically, I think for about 3 years now, I've been promising 2 products that I have been working on but haven't been able to finish because I actually have a full-time career whilst doing all these things as well. And one of them is rather than just a dice jail, it's a dice correction facility where it actually has multiple different methods of torture for the dice. Guillotine, all those sorts of things, right? Which is something that I really, really want to do. But, and I'm sure you guys know this, when you try and make something, like you need that spark, right? And I just haven't found the time with all the other things that I'm doing to sit down, and it just hasn't just kind of come at me yet. And when it does, it'll be done in one night, right? Like I'm sure, because I'll stay up till 2 a.m. and just keep working on it. But so that's something I want to do. Another thing I've been working on is a Dungeon Master screen as well, but one that actually has a 2-way dice tower, so it can roll towards the players or roll towards the Dungeon Master.
Yes.
If you want to do like a public roll or not. And it has, I don't know if you saw my initiative tracker system, which has been quite popular. It'll integrate that into it as well, which is really cool. And I wanted to have a bit of storage for minis and stuff like that as well. So it'd be more of like a sort of box unit that has everything. So I've got a prototype of that sitting behind me actually, but it's not ready. It's not ready yet. It's not ready.
Is that gonna have like modular pieces that you can swap out? Like,
that was the idea. And I think what happened was I started working on it and got pretty far, and then my compendium took off. And what I wanted to kind of do was actually reapproach the Dungeon Master screen and see if I could include the pods from the compendium in the design, because it kind of makes sense, right? So I've put that on ice for the moment until I get everything else done.
Because I'm sure some of that cool tech as well that you have integrated in the compendium could work particularly well in a Dungeon Master screen. Yeah.
My cousin and I are absolute fiends for thinking of the next thing we can do with the electronics.
Because it was just like, you could have ice on like the front of the clear acrylic on the compendium. I'm thinking, could you have like a little like acrylic screen that has like weather?
Stop it. But yes, you could.
and now I will.
Take it.
One thing we are adding to the Dice Compendium too is like DM's tools. So like if because we hit the stretch target for that as well. So there's animations when you take the dice out, for example. But what we're also going to add is just ambient animation. So if you've got a compendium in the room that you're playing with and there is a storm, for example, you could have an animation going for that. Or if there's a fight going, you could have fire going, that sort of stuff, just sort of like set a bit of a scene. It doesn't have audio built in, but it could just be a nice little backdrop because it is. It can get quite bright, which is quite cool. So you could use it to kind of set the scene in there. What else am I doing? One more thing. Where we are about to, and I'm very nervous about this, but excited as well. We're about to embark on expanding Dungeons and Castles into New South Wales, which is really exciting. So this is going to be, it's a bit different. It's going to be more of a weekly event, but it's still going to take in a lot of the learnings that we've had from doing this event. And look, I know there's a lot of professional DMs out there, and I know they're all amazing, and there's some really established people that are doing some awesome things. So we're not trying to tread on anyone's feet with this, but we just want to do it the way that we've been doing it. And so, the venue will be in Castle Hill, which we thought was very appropriate because it's a castle, right? So that should be hopefully launching in about May. So, people that haven't been able to come down to the castle and haven't been able to actually come down into Victoria, right? And want to play something that's more reliable and, a weekly sort of event, we'll have that launching pretty soon as well. So very exciting, very nerve-wracking. More things. That's the reason why I have almost no hair left at all.
I'm wondering how you have any energy to do all of the things. I'm completely flabbergasted.
It's insane. I don't drink coffee either. I don't like the taste of it. Yeah. I'm definitely not a morning person, that's for sure. But I am I should be in bed, but I'm still up person. And so I do end up spending a lot of time because I can really only work on these projects from, realistically like 6:30 p.m. until I eventually allow myself to sleep. It's I enjoy it. If I didn't enjoy it, I don't think I could do it. I think that's the key, right? And when you go around and you see makers, you can tell the people that like it's in their blood. Like they're just so committed to it, and you'll see that they're tired as well. If you see me most of the time, I look like I need to sleep because I do. But I'm having fun, right? And I'm enjoying myself. And the community gives me so much energy when we're out. often think a lot of myself, and I think that's probably something that a lot of us are afflicted with. And so, when someone says, "Hey, this thing's really cool," and I believe them, that makes me really happy. So, these are really lovely things to sort of come across, right?
Well, we love the things you do, if that helps. And I'm sure everyone listening is sitting there like, oh no, I have things to buy and find. And
that's right. You've given me energy to stay up for another hour.
Let's do our fast five. Let's do our rapid fire fast five. We know you've done it before, but people change. You never know. It's been 6 months. You've got a chance to rectify anything you walked away from going, oh, do it.
So you're saying this time I can do it correctly. I'm here.
You can do it. Look, as we continue to say, there is only one person who's ever gotten a question wrong.
Oh.
And that's a snack-related question that they will never live down, including today.
Okay, all right.
Look, pastries just don't belong as a TTRPG snack, and I stand by that sentence.
Yeah, too complex.
Pastries are great, but they're too crumbly, too sticky.
Yeah, they're getting all over the board.
Yeah. So let's start with the first one. What is the best gaming table snack? What are we snacking on at your gaming table?
I know, and you really gave me so much opportunity to plan to answer that correctly, and I'm still going to fail you, and that's really going to be disappointing for everybody. Honestly, what we used to do was we had an ironing board that we set up a charcuterie on. Because that's the space that we had. And so we would just have a bit of a cheese board with, different meats and things like that and bread and things like that to keep it a bit fresh. When we first started, we probably were using, it was primarily Doritos and things like that, but they just get over everything. I mean, they're still absolutely an acceptable snack. But we've got the ironing board charcuterie will be my final answer. Lock it in.
Good. Now, this one's going to be hard because we've just talked about the fact that you are a dice supplier. Do you have a favorite dice? That can be dice set and or dice shape.
I may have answered the same last time. I don't remember because it was 6 months ago, aka 10 years ago. But my favorite set has to be the set that Terry made me from Adventuring Alchemist. He made it for my birthday. I really love the Fallout game series, and so he actually made me a bespoke handmade set with the Fallout color themes through it. So that's absolutely my most cherished set, because then when I play D&D, I still get to live my other thing that I like as well, which I think is really cool.
Favorite game to introduce? You're a baby player who's never played a TTRPG before. What game are you introducing them to? Is it a dungeon in a castle?
Yes, I recommend you visit dungeonsandcastles.com.au. No, that's a really good question. I think if people want to play a tabletop game, whether this is going to be a very boring answer or not, Dungeons and Dragons does still remain a really good way to start. There's some other cool games that that we sell, and of course others sell as well, where you actually take away all the stakes of people winning as well. There's a couple of small games. Steve D from Tin Star Games makes a game where you are essentially getting to learn some tabletop mechanics by going on a heist. And so you're basically going on a heist, and the cards allow you to work out whether it fails or succeeds, and that's all the cards are doing. And then the group is actually role-playing, and so it gives people a good exposure to that role-playing part of it, which I think is a really cool part of these games. And also, I think probably the part that people are most scared about with these games is, do I have to do a voice? Do I have to say these things? I'm sorry, I just realized these answers are not very fast.
Fast is relative.
That's right.
TTRPGs can take years. Fast is relative.
That's true.
Right, so you've got snacks, you've got dice, you've got a game. What is your other tabletop must-have? What have you got to have with you at the tabletop?
I like some organization, of course. Selfishly, I'm going to plug my own product again. I like to take my box of holding. That's what I take with me to all of my games, because I am an incredibly forgetful person. And my box of holding literally has, it's got my dice, it's got my minis, it's got my notes from the campaign, and it's got space for, any trinkets or things that I've acquired along the way. And if I don't take that, I will forget at least all of those things. So that's definitely my favorite thing to have at the game, for sure.
Nice. And last one, if you could have a little companion, little minion, animal, robot, think familiar in D&D, what's your little guy?
Oh, that's a good question. We actually have a mascot for Quest Suppliers, and he has a pet. And so I would actually love to have his pet. Ludius Maximus, the Swag Sorcerer, is our mascot.
He has a name? I didn't know he had a name. Can you repeat that, please?
Ludius Maximus?
Ludius Maximus, the Swag Sorcerer, is his name. And he actually, not only does he have a name, he actually has a full stat block, which we have on our business card that we give to all of our customers as well. So he is a usable NPC with a bit of silly homebrew in there, of course. I think he has 200 feet of deals vision, so he can spot a good deal from anywhere, which is great. But he actually also has, and we're working on the stat block for this as well, he actually also has a pet, and his pet is named Fetch. And it is a mimic that he created by accident because he's not a particularly good sorcerer. But this mimic is a really friendly mimic, and he follows him around and stores all of his dice that he then sells. So I would have a little Fetch coming around. He's essentially a box of holding that can bite and fight back if he needs to. That would be absolutely, has to be my minion.
I don't think either of us are going to argue with that at all.
And he's just a little guy. He's really cute as well.
I mean, who doesn't want a companion mimic, to be honest?
Absolutely. Yeah. Turn the mimic against everyone else instead of against you.
100%.
Right.
Ludius Maximus.
Ludius Maximus, the Swag Sorcerer.
It's so
if our episodes had titles.
I mean, they do. So.
That's the title.
Oh my God.
Excellent. So, Chris, we've talked about a whole bunch of stuff. So where can people find out more if they want to know more about GlowCraft, if they want to know more about Quest Supplies, if they want to know more about Dungeons and Castles? Where do they go to find all of these things?
So, if you're looking for some tabletop accessories, whether you live in Australia or anywhere else in the world, you can go to glowcraft.com.au. You'll be able to find everything there. There'll be a link through to the Kickstarter. I'm not yet selling the Dice Compendium to the public yet until, of course, I go through and fulfill to the Kickstarter backers. I think that's the right thing to do. But that's where you'll go to find that. If you want to play the most amazing D&D event in Victoria, as per my opinion, you can come to Dungeons and Castles. It's a 3-day event. We will be releasing the tickets for the September event soon, which will be Chapter 2. All of the chapters are self-contained, so you don't need to have attended Chapter 1 to attend Chapter 2. I've even had players come from Chapter 3 back to Chapter 2. I've even had players that did Chapter 1 do Chapter 1 again because they enjoyed it so much. So that is dungeonsandcastles.com.au, and you can check that out. And of course, you'll be able to find the New South Wales chapter that'll be starting soon, where you can join a weekly event. And we are looking at bringing back our fortnightly events as well at the castle, which are much, much cheaper, where you can basically jump in and just play like a one-day thing at the castle, which is pretty cool. And lastly, if you want some dice, because you don't have enough dice, and if you look down at the amount of dice you have now, I know you need more. So you can go to questsuppliers.com.au and you can get yourself some amazing deals on dice, or you can come see us in person at most Victorian events and at PAX as well in October, which would be really cool. But that's it. That's all the things I do.
It's really not, but that's all the things that you're talking about tonight.
It's all the things that you do that sort of seems sane as long as you don't think about it for too long.
Just don't think about it. When you're buying from me, don't think about when does this man sleep? Is he okay? Don't worry about that. That's fine. Just get some cool dice towers and move on, and I'll be okay.
We know that TTRPG players don't care about the well-being of the merchants in games, so...
That is very true, actually. I'm surprised I haven't been stabbed yet. Oh my God.
And on that note, thank you so much, Chris, for hanging out with us tonight. I feel like we're going to talk more after the microphones are off. But
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for having me. It's been a very fun discussion.
All right, let's get into some news. So this week I have some crowdfunding news. This is for the Dark Fantasy construction kit for Arkenforge Tabletop. So Arkenforge Tabletop is a digital tabletop that you can use either online or in person if you've got like a screen on the table. I use it in some of my games and it's pretty cool with all the stuff that you can do in it. And they are releasing a Dark Fantasy construction kit. So it includes things like maps and assets and mood images and tokens. And the really cool thing is that they've also got commercially available pledge tiers as well. So if you are a map maker or someone who creates your own modules and whatnot, and you would like to be able to include really cool high quality maps in that, this is definitely something you should check out. At the time of recording this, the Kickstarter is not yet live, but you can be notified on launch. So I will put the link to that in the show notes. In event news, Tabletop Con 2025 is coming up real soon. It's at the Southport Community Centre, May 24th to 25th. This is the ultimate destination for tabletop gaming enthusiasts on the Gold Coast, and it will include exciting demonstrations, newly released games, as well as the opportunity to meet publishers, artists, and like-minded gamers. So whether you like RPGs, board games, war games, or card games, there is going to be something for you at Tabletop Con, and I will put a link to that also in the show notes. And that is all the news I have for this episode.
Some people have been asking us what the best thing they can do is to support the podcast. And honestly, it's rating and reviewing it wherever you're listening to it. It really does help us reach brand new audiences and other listeners just like you. TTRPGs are for everybody, and we want to reach as many people as possible. No matter where you're from, we want you to be part of the discussion, part of the roll call here at Aussie Roll Call.
This podcast is produced in affiliation with the Australian roleplay community. If you'd like to join the ARC community, head to arcrpg.org, where you'll find a link to our vibrant and inclusive Discord server. Your hosts have been Kate O'Sullivan, Dan Machuca, and Stevie Schaefer. Cover art by Helen Graham of Juimon Studios. Title music is Sweet Sunday Groove by Slailkey. Interstitial music is Newer Wave by Kevin MacLeod, used under a Creative Commons 4.0 license. Production by Stevie Schaefer.